creating cultural awareness and understanding. This is Culture Clique. Culture Clique is written and produced by KQAL FM on the campus of Winona State University.
Whether it's hiking, biking, fishing, or rock climbing, if you're a Minnesotan, you know the value of getting outdoors this time of year. This week on Culture Clique, we're joined by Kim Pleticha of the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources. We'll learn all about how the DNR is adapting to the COVID-19 pandemic and how you can safely enjoy Minnesota's state parks. Now here's KQAL's Bill Stoneberg with Kim Pleticha on Culture Clique.
I'm here with Kim Pleticha. She's the Assistant Director of Communications for the Minnesota DNR. How are you doing today, Kim?
I'm doing really well. How are you?
I'm good, considering, been inside a lot, which is kind of...
we all have.
Yeah, which is kind of the focus of today's show. That's why I wanted to talk to you in particular was, everyone is... probably feeling cooped up right now. I've noticed that the parks around town here in Winona are full of people, especially lately when it's been nice out and sunny and stuff. So I kind of wanted to talk to you about, what people can do in state parks or just outdoors in general. I think it's a time that people are wanting to get out and get some fresh air, especially if they have young kids at home. First of all, I'm kind of wondering, there's different information out there. Some people are saying, you can't go to certain parks. This park is closed, that park is closed. Are parks generally open right now for the public, or should people stay away?
So the short answer is yes. All of the state parks are open. You do still need a permit on your car, but you can get one of those at the self-pay kiosks at the park. But the thing that I want to caution folks is that if you pull into a park and it's crowded, find another park.
Okay.
The spirit of the governor's stay-at-home order really is to recreate close to home. Mm-hmm. And at this point, observing that 6-foot social distancing and not being in crowds, that's what we need to stop the spread of COVID-19. And it doesn't help when all of us, 1,000 of us are at our local state park all recreating together.
Right.
So we have plenty of beautiful places here in the state to get out in the open. If your favorite local park is crowded, choose another one. In fact, we can help you out on the DNR website. It's mindnr.gov. And, just put in the information box, Recreation Compass, and that will help you find a plethora of places you can recreate close to home that hopefully won't be quite so crowded. It's time to find a new place to go, I think, is what I'm saying.
Okay, nice. So is that MINNDNR.gov or?
No, it's MNDNR.gov.
Okay, great. So people can find a list there then, huh? And
yep, just type Recreation Compass into the info bar at the top of the page, and it will take you right to it. And it's also available on your mobile device, so it's very easy to use. But and one of the things I probably should be really clear about here is that now is not the time you should be seeking out places far away from home. Mm-hmm. I mean, when the governor says stay at home, he really does mean stay at home.
Right.
So, now's not the time to be driving 100 miles seeking out solitude. We're really encouraging people to find as many good things as they can do very near their homes. And let's face it, we live in a beautiful area, mm-hmm. So we are lucky. We are not in a concrete jungle.
Right, yeah. And I think that's kind of the important thing here, that people, like I said, people are feeling cooped up. Well, like you said, we have a lot of beautiful stuff right here in our area. You should be able to find something close to home, I think, Are there specific services at parks that are open or not open? Like, I'm kind of assuming maybe classes aren't going on, right? And how about visitor centers? Are those open or?
No. So pretty much everything at the park is closed except for bathrooms.
Okay.
Bathrooms that were open during the winter are open now, but bathrooms that were closed over the winter are not open now.
Okay.
The easiest way to find out what's open and what's closed on all DNR properties is by going again to mndnr.gov, mm-hmm. and then at the very top of the page, you'll see a bright yellow box. That's our COVID-19 information. You click on the information there, it'll take you to our COVID-19 page, and that lists all of the things that are open and closed. So, right now, state forests, state parks, WMAs, scientific and natural areas, all of those are open. But again, I know I'm sounding like a broken record here. We really want people to stay as close to home as possible. So if those things happen to be close to you, fantastic. If it means getting in your car and driving a long time to get there, maybe choose something else.
Right. And like we've said, there's lots of beautiful areas in the state, so there should be something close to you can find. Are there certain activities that people should maybe stay away from while they're in the park to ensure that they're social distancing?
Well, it's interesting. I did get a question the other day about trails.
Oh, yeah.
Someone was on a trail, and he was saying he wasn't able, what does he do on these very tight trails when there's no real room for social distancing?
Mm-hmm.
And the short answer there is, that is not the trail to be on right now. If you can't keep a 6-foot social distance, you don't want to be doing that activity.
Right.
That's really the bottom line. So, yeah, you might want to stay away from those very tight trails through the forest right now, especially if the park is crowded, because you can't maintain a distance.
Right. Okay. That's good advice. I hadn't thought of that because, some of those trails get really narrow, and how do you pass people,
Right, and that's precisely what was happening over the weekend, and he was concerned.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to admit, I hadn't thought about that either, because in my area, we don't have those tight trails. But, of course, I have been on some of them. I think we all have, right?
Right.
You become very good friends with the people you're passing along the way.
Mm-hmm.
And while that's wonderful, probably not good right now.
Right. Another activity I've seen, like here in town in Winona, we have a couple lakes here in town, and I've seen people fishing out there, and there's certain spots that are real popular fishing spots. So I've seen, people standing on the dock and stuff. Are there, what would your advice be to them, because everyone wants to be in the same spot, so they're kind of crowding it looks like.
Right, and as we have ice out on all the lakes, everybody's going to want to be out boating too, right? So what we're telling folks is, again, it's the broken record in me saying again, 6 feet of social distance. So be really careful on docks and piers and boat launches that you're not crowding.
Right.
That's just not a good thing to do right now. Even if you're outdoors, I've heard that. I'm outdoors, I'm in the fresh air. True, but you still don't want to be that close to folks right now. The whole purpose of the governor's order is to stop the spread of COVID-19.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not going to help any matters if we're all congregating together on a boat dock, very, very, very close together.
Mm-hmm.
So again, that's just what we're asking is people, really, Bill, it comes down to using good judgment and common sense.
Right.
So, if your favorite pier or dock or, boat launch is crowded, again, it's the time to find another place or maybe just find something else to do. We've got a ton of stuff we can do. The weather's warming up. It's beautiful outside. So, and I know folks want to fish, right? So, and fishing seasons are open. They are not being postponed or closed. So folks can fish as the season's open as long as they have a license. But again, we just want to make sure that folks are not congregating together when they're doing those activities.
Right. And I suppose maybe if you are in an area where, like a boat launch that's being used, maybe have some courtesy towards others and keep your distance, until they're done with the launch, right?
Right, absolutely. It just comes down to, regular old politeness. You don't want to crowd people even in the best of times, especially not now. So, if we can all just be a little patient, have a little grace, and remember that we're all doing this for each other. We're all in this together.
Right.
So the more we can do to help each other out, the better.
Yeah. And hopefully we can get out of this quicker, I think.
That's the whole point, right?
Yeah.
The longer, and that's what MDH has been saying, that the more we can be socially distant right now, the better it'll be for all of us. And so that's why we're really trying to encourage people to not just uphold the letter of the governor's order, but also the spirit of it.
Right, definitely. And there's different activities that keep coming up in my head. I know I've read about geocaching in some parks, and that seems to me like a real solitary kind of activity, but if someone else was just there and handled that object or that location, is that a problem, you think? You think that is an activity maybe we should stay away from?
I must admit I hadn't actually thought about that. but you're probably right. Probably not a good idea right now. The other thing I would say is that a lot of parks are so crowded right now that might not even be an enjoyable activity because so many people might be doing it.
Oh.
So, that's probably a good point, Bill. I really can't speak to. I'm not the Minnesota Department of Health, so I really can't speak to that, whether it would be safe or not. But what I can speak to is the idea of staying far away from people. So it would seem to me that if you're in a park with a lot of people, geocaching might not be the thing to do.
Right. And better safe than sorry, I would say, in that kind of instance.
Right, absolutely.
And we've been kind of talking about things you shouldn't do and stay away from. But what, and it might seem obvious to some folks, but what do you think the main benefit of going to a park? Because I think that's maybe something that we need to do right now is be outside a little bit if we can and do it safely. What are the main benefits, do you think?
Well, the main benefits, I think, to all of us, you're right, maybe it seems obvious, but bottom line, the governor's order has that exception in there for outdoor activity because really we need that for our physical and mental health. As you were saying, a lot of people they're feeling sort of cooped up right now. So getting outside, breathing that fresh air, seeing the sunshine, just being outside in nature really does refresh us, recharge us, and make us feel better, especially at a time right now when so many folks are feeling very tense and worried. So there are plenty of things that you can do just close by your home. I mean, really, it comes down to just taking a walk around your neighborhood. I've seen some lovely examples of that on social media where people get together for, outdoor cookouts, but they're all in their own yards observing social distance. I've just seen one really beautiful examples of people trying to be outdoors, kind of quote-unquote together, but far away. So that's really something to think about. Going biking is wonderful. Hiking, jogging, if you enjoy it. Plenty of things you can do if you have a house. This probably is the time to start getting things ready for your garden. It's spring. So there are ways to be outside that don't involve you going and interacting with lots of people. I know when you're talking with the DNR, it sounds like we would say get yourself to a state park right now or recreate in a state forest. But again, now is really not the time to be driving long distances to do that. So we're trying to encourage people to find nature in their backyard. And to that end, our social media channels are really trying to help folks do that. So, head on over to see us on Facebook. We just launched Instagram today. So we will be really trying to help folks connect with nature in the best way they can, even if they can't get to their local state park or state forest or other recreation area.
Okay, nice. So there's lots of options for people, I think, which is good. One more specific activity that came to mind, because I love this one, morel hunting. I know that's allowed in some places. Is that something people should be out there doing, or is that something to stay away from? Because I know it's a very popular activity, so there may be a lot of people out there doing it. I'm not sure.
Well, here's what I would say. If you live someplace close where you could do that, and you're not doing it with, 1,000 of your friends, I'm sure it's probably safe.
Okay.
Again, I'm not the Department of Health, so I can't tell you for sure whether an activity would or would not be healthy or safe. But I think if you're hunting for mushrooms, out in the middle of nowhere, that should be fairly safe. It should be fairly solitary. And I can imagine for folks who enjoy doing that activity, it would also be a welcome diversion from everything that's going on right now, and something good for your, dinner. So
yeah, it's good for you all around, for sure. I'm talking to Kim Pleticha. She is the Assistant Director of Communications for the Minnesota DNR. And if you have any questions about what you can and can't do, what parks are open, what services are available, just go to mndnr.gov. Or you said you guys have a Facebook page and Instagram as well?
We do. We have Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, so we're available everywhere. Great.
Fantastic. Well, I encourage people to get outdoors, but remember to stay safe. Don't travel too far. Remember to social distance. Avoid crowded parks. So Kim, thank you so much for talking with us. I think this is an important thing right now that people are curious about and need to know. So thank you so much.
You're right. Thanks so much, Bill. Good to be here.
Thanks again to Kim Pleticha for joining us on this episode of Culture Clique. To stream this episode or any other episode of Culture Clique, visit KQAL.org and select the Media tab. I'm Willard Hike. Thanks for listening.
Creating cultural awareness and understanding. You've been listening to Culture Clique. Support for Culture Clique is made possible by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund. Culture Clique is produced by KQAL FM on the campus of Winona State University. For more information, look us up on the web at kqal.org. And thanks for listening to Culture Clique.
Are you interested in all things Winona and the surrounding area? Find podcasts of Culture Clique and all your favorite KQAL shows by going to kqal.org and looking for program archives under the Media tab. Culture Clique is made possible by a grant from the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund.